Hi, everyone. My name is Corey Goldstein, and I'm here with my very, very good friend Don Berry.
Hey.
And we're with FoundationContractorProfits.com. And we're here today because we have something to share with you that is an awesome, awesome game if you're a foundation contractor. And Don and I have, over the last, I don't know, 5 years or so, have really taken on, maybe even less than that, have taken on several companies and turned them around, literally completely turned them around. And we're here today to share with you some insights. Don is the guy who's really the introverted guy. He's sitting in the back of the room. You can tell by the color of his skin he doesn't get a lot of sun, and he's mostly working on the computer, figuring out unique, crazy ways to generate leads for foundation contractors. And Don, I am absolutely thrilled that you came outside your office and spend some time on this chat with us.
Well,
You and
I
I appreciate that.
sorry, Corey. I just can't help it. This is way too interesting. The whole world of getting the phone to ring at the foundation contractor's office. Getting those bids to get scheduled, and then watching the conversion happening and seeing how valuable the whole thing is. And so what we're doing today is giving you guys some insights about some of the track that you want to be on, to give you a sense of direction and some forward momentum here.
Yeah, really, really great. So we're going to discuss a lot of different things today, just because, and it's basically, it's two guys talking, and you're listening in on this, right? Because this is something that, if you're a foundation contractor in the business of doing all types of things, from helical piers to foundation lifts and all these wonderful things that we've been able to, foundation contractors are experts in. These leads that do come in that we've been able to see have been absolutely fantastic. And the thing is, we'll share with you how we're doing it. We'll share with you ways in which you can increase your volume of lead flow and how you can impact your company's performance. And there's been, Don, over the last 4 years, there's been such an increase in the amount of competition coming into the market space. And maybe you could speak to that for a moment, because I'm sure the foundation contractors, the experts, are feeling it.
Yeah, well, I think that when the recession kicked in, there was a lot of people that were kind of generalist remodelers and different kinds of general contractors looking for a way to survive. And some people began to notice that the foundation type of work was perhaps a good place to go. And so what was once really kind of a sparsely populated field has become intensely populated in the metropolitan areas that we've been studying. And so it's good news, because doing what we're going to be showing you here is lucrative, okay? And you just have to stay ahead of the pack, if you will, and that's certainly within your power at this point.
Yeah. There's so many ways, especially with the internet, right? There's so many ways to stay ahead of the pack. The two companies that we completely turned around, that were both literally on their knees. Maybe we could speak to that for a couple of moments, right? Because these are guys that were, in one instance, the gentleman was literally beginning to sell off his trucks,
Yeah.
and look at other options, and tapping into his home equity line of credit to keep his company going. And in the other instance, there was a gentleman that sold his business and had to literally take it back because of mismanagement. So maybe we can talk about that and some of those two companies that we experienced.
Well, what I really got out of it all was a real sense of compassion for how it feels when the phone's not ringing.
Oh.
And if you don't have, like the old school, for 30, 40 years, this first company we did had been pretty much relying on yellow pages and, just traditional stuff, and didn't know how important it was to get empowered on the internet and the kind of leads that could come off the internet for this type of business. It's actually a perfect storm. And then the other fellow also didn't understand the importance of the internet and couldn't get it in place. And as soon as we got the thing plugged in and started getting all the dials turned on the right direction, then the phone started ringing again, and it was such a relief. But what we've learned from doing all of this stuff is that there are people actively looking for solutions that the foundation contractor provides. They've got a problem, And so when they get on the internet to solve their problem, you know, they're typing in things about their problem. Those are the keywords. And if we get you showing up there, or if you get yourself showing up there, then suddenly they become aware that you're there, and now you're a step closer to them actually picking up the phone and calling and asking you to come out and take a look. So what we know for sure is that if you get your visibility happening, you can get some really fabulous jobs coming in the door. You were talking about that church job that came rolling in. What was that, Corey? And how big was that?
Yeah. We when we had coffee just a couple days ago, I was remembering a job that came right when we cracked the code, right?
Yeah.
Right when we cracked the code and started dialing the right sequences of keywords. Then we crack a code, and what I mean by that is there's a process, right? Like you know how to put in a foundation the right way, and you know how to do things the right way. Online, there's a right way and a wrong way, and an expensive way. And so what Don did, he cracked the code around the keywords in a specific area, and as a result, one job came in within literally less than 72 hours for $158,000, which was a church up in the Bay Area of California, which was amazing.
You're right, and there's many other examples like that. And one of the things that happens when you get your act together on the internet is you'll start getting calls from contractors, and you'll see $250,000 jobs come rolling through if you do that kind of work. And you'll be hearing more from engineers, and those referrals are really valuable. And of course, the homeowners, so they get on the internet trying to find out why the underneath of their house is all soaked and the foundation's cracking and the doors don't close right. So they're looking for stuff there. And so this is very, very worthwhile to get this together. So if you don't have a solid internet marketing department, if you will, you want to get one, and and you want to get it in action, and you want to do it fast because it's very much worthwhile.
Yeah, and one of the things that you're pointing to about speed, it's so important to execute as fast as possible. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect. It's just got to be up. And, and as human beings, we can get completely bogged down in having it be perfect. It's got to be perfect. It's got to look this way. And it doesn't have to be. And maybe you could speak to the speed in which we've been able to accomplish new goals and metrics online. Just by using one of the things that we're going to talk about in just a moment.
All right, Corey. Nowadays we can cause your phone to start ringing next week, and we've gone down the path of figuring out the best way to do this, fastest way to do this, and most importantly, the safest way to do this in terms of ROI. And because if you can get the machine working at spitting out money and doing it profitably, then once you've got that working, once it flies, then you can put a big engine on it and make it fly a lot. And so that's the very first order of business, is to get a little sample model working where people are seeing you on the internet, they're calling in, and you're measuring the results. I think we better talk about the KPIs first, Corey.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things that we had seen was, the importance of getting on track. And getting on track, there's a lot of different ways to get on track to have your business run. And maybe, talk about the KPIs and the importance of those key performance indicators and metrics.
Sure. So, you're running a construction company, and so you're probably tracking, we hope you're tracking, the key performance indicators. And how many leads came in each of the last 52 weeks, for example. And so if you're not tracking the leads that are coming in and counting them and keeping an ongoing number, then you're not really in the game of bringing in leads. And then you want to be tracking how many of those turn into actual bids, and then of the bids that you do, how many of those turn into actual jobs. And then, of course, minding your costing to make sure that you're focused on the most profitable stuff that you do, and that, point the marketers at, bringing in the most profitable business, the stuff you really love the best. So if you're doing helical pier installations, it may be in that space. If you're focused on drainage, it may be in that space. So we got all the way to the jobs closed, and then I also like to track, the ongoing improvement of your credibility and attractiveness on the web. What I mean by that is, did we get any reviews last week?
Right.
Did we get any testimonials from happy customers on video? And the kind of stuff that makes the site convert better, makes people more comfortable about picking up the phone and calling you versus the other guys.
Yeah. And in our haste to be able to, not our haste, in the haste of a foundation contract to actually get in the job, get the job signed, get the work done, signed off on, and get paid, there are opportunities that are lost. And those opportunities are, and maybe we'll edit in a couple of videos where, some of these people have just said absolutely wonderful things. You may have clients that absolutely love you and you have no idea that they love you. And they're willing to put a video testimonial for you or write some letter, that has you really be known as an expert. We already know if you're watching this thing, you're an expert. You have an authentic, true interest in increasing your bottom line and having a greater impact and kicking the butt of your competition. And, so let's go over, let's deepen this thing, right? Let's go into maybe discovering, a little bit more of like the difference of one way to generate lead flow versus like organic leads,
Yeah, okay.
right? Or pay-per-click. Oftentimes that can be very, very confusing, and maybe you can shed some light on that.
Well, when we're playing a game, it's much more fun if it's fast, and and so the fast game is to go ahead and advertise using Google AdWords, and the reason why it's fast is because you can set up a campaign and AdWords, put it up on the internet, and within hours having your ads showing up and observing the clicks that are happening and measuring what the results are in the way of phone calls. And so that's that game. Every time somebody clicks one of those ads that we put up on Google, Google earns the cost for that click. And in this space, it could be anywhere from $2 to $10, depending on how aggressive the competition is, which is why you have to have it be so profitable. The other way is the organic search results. So when you type in a term like foundation repair your city, you'll get a search results page, and across the top of that will be the paid advertising, and then down the right column will be paid advertising, and then in the center of the page is going to be what they call the organic search results. And so if you click any of the organic search results, Google doesn't make any money on those clicks. And so the game that we got focused on was showing up on the organic search results, and that's a powerful game, but it's kind of a long-term investment, and it comes with risk, and you don't have to expose yourself to any of that stuff if you jump into the AdWords and do it well.
Yeah, literally within weeks, calls are coming in, if that, hours, calls are coming in, and is there any relationship with Google AdWords and organic, or the independent situations?
I haven't. I think that they have a nice, clean, non-interaction, and so I don't think Google rewards your organic results if you're paying for clicks. I don't think they do that. And
Yeah.
so,
Right.
but the good news is if you get your AdWords thing together, you can be suddenly showing up on the scene where you were like invisible before, and suddenly you're visible. And so that's like hurdle number one, is getting visible. We can get you visible next week. Google AdWords can have you showing up there. That's very, very sure.
Yeah,
But doing it profitably is the trick.
Well, mastering lead generation is absolutely important. Whether it's through engineers, one-on-one, face-to-face, in groups, online, is absolutely primary to the long-term success and viability of your company. If you have a competitor that you're watching and you're wondering how they're doing it, they're probably doing something pretty good online and have a pretty good marketing system online. So let's talk about conversions and measuring all of that. We recently found with one of the companies that you've been very active and involved in, you recently discovered something about one of the employees that you would not have known, and even the owner wouldn't have known, and it got revealed in the KPIs. And maybe you could speak around that and the importance of, as a CEO and the owner of the company, and the person responsible to keep the lights and gas on and the money flowing and all the employees paid, this was a very critical find.
Well, you're constantly wondering, how are we doing? And so I don't like to wonder. I want to know how we're doing. And so and the nature of the game is to have numbers. And so I like to keep track of, as I was saying, I like to keep track of the leads that are happening, and how many times the phone is ringing, and then measuring how many bids are going out each week. And so one of the things that became evident with this weekly accounting, basically, was that one of the estimators hadn't produced a bid in 14 days, and yet the leads had been, swarming in at a nice, healthy clip. And so I called the owner up. I go, something's wrong. The estimator isn't producing leads. And sure enough, like human beings can do, he was focused on something else.
Right.
and meanwhile, these leads were getting old, and I don't want those leads getting old. I want them getting bid. I want them getting converted into sales. And so it was great to spot this instead of just waiting weeks until or even months until the checking account starts to run low. That's like a lagging indicator. You want upfront indicators. You want to be measuring stuff that's going to affect your checkbook later, but you're going to find out about it early. So it's like being plugged into an EKG machine. You want a dashboard for your business, and you want to make sure that that's current. And you also want your staff to be accessing the dashboard, maybe even feeding it facts, so everybody knows what matters to you as the business owner and what you're tracking and paying attention to. And now they're in the game, and suddenly they're trying to get their numbers to improve. Every day I get up, I want my numbers to improve, and everybody else that's minding the numbers is trying to beat their best.
Wow. Imagine that environment in your office, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that is a total shift. Now some of the people that are watching this could probably say, Don, Corey, you guys are full of it because I don't have the kind of lead flow where I'm burning leads. I'm interested in holding the leads that I got and converting them as much as I can, because every one of them is gold. And in the fact they are. If you looked at the math and the value of those phone calls, they're extraordinarily expensive. In some cases, $2,000-3,000 per call, depending upon the overall lead size. The value could be very, very expensive.
How do you mean, Corey? In terms of the cost of the lead?
Certainly.
I think. Wait a minute. I think you're talking about the value of the lead.
The value of the lead, not the cost. Yeah, the value of it. Like, if you have somebody who's not an effective closer on the phone, or there may be some education that needs to happen, that can be a very costly lead.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're pointing at there. Yeah, and so you discover that the conversion's not working the way it's supposed to be. So the cost per lead is something that you want to suppress, but so that you can get to this other point where I want to point out something that'll really change your life, which is that if you can get yourself swamped with leads, now you can start cherry picking, and your estimators can start choosing the jobs that they feel are going to be the most lucrative ones. And so like if you have a paucity of leads, then now you're in a needy position, and your margins are going to tend to feel it. And so like, I got to get this job, or I got to keep my crew working. You don't want to be in that position. But if you're there, you're going to watch your margin. That's pretty much how these companies got into trouble in the first place.
Yeah, this, which goes to what I was going to mention about this company, that the current CEO, the current owner, had sold it to another party. The other party had basically run it down, burned through millions of dollars, basically had to lose the company. The prior CEO then took it over, and he had to do a cash injection. He had to infuse the company with capital. And so he was starting effectively in the red. And so now, with some new marketing strategy that was done, maybe you can share with people where he started, just in the last 6 months, where he started versus where it's at now.
Yeah, well, it's been an amazing thing to see, volume double and almost triple, within the year, and just by taking the internet marketing seriously. And if that's the one the one takeaway that you get from visiting with us here, is that you got to take the internet marketing really seriously, and give it a top priority, because it's that much of a game changer. And so it's like before, no powerful internet marketing in place. business limping along, crippled, feeling a lot of pain, solve the problem, nail the internet marketing, the digital marketing, and all the factors that go with it, nail it, and suddenly the company starts to flourish, and you can now you can start to pick your clients, and that's when this game gets really, really fun. So,
yeah, very true. Well, so hopefully this video and our interaction here has provided something for you, and so yeah, and it's really up to you, right? If you want to get in the game, play this game. You want to try it out and play it with us, and just inquire into it. What do you want people to do, Don?
The good news is that we're set up here to help you some more, and what all you got to do is book us for a free consultation, and we'll have a one-on-one. Hopefully you got a camera at your end, and we can chit chat about what's working for you, what it is that you're trying to do, what your vision for where you want to go. And then we can compare notes on what's possible with the internet marketing and what the next steps ought to be for you. And you can and so whatever you're doing, I really encourage you to take us up on a free consultation. And there's no cost, there's no obligation, and our intention is to become a space in your mind as somebody who can be valuable and provide valuable service. And should a time come when we can help you, then we're more than happy to do that. But just jump into a free consultation with us, and you can go over to foundationcontractorprofits.com. Check out some of the stuff online there, and hook up on. There's a calendar right there. You can actually book an appointment on the calendar, or just call me. Call my cell phone at 707-665-9414. Let's get an appointment set up, and what we're going to do in this consultation is make sure that it's really well worth your time, and that you walk away with something that really, really happy.
Really, really great. Well, we really welcome you and invite you to focus on your business. Look at this as an opportunity to work instead of in your business for a moment, working on your business. And working on your business, there is no better investment when you work on your business. If you think about how passionate and excited you were when you started the business, imagine when you're in a world of overflowing leads where people are calling you and recognizing you as a credible expert and a person of great resourcefulness and being able to really make a difference for them. That's really our goal, is people say how absolutely fabulous you are and have so much happiness. And you'll see a lot of the customers that have worked with our prior clients have that view about them. So really, Don, give them your number one more time, and please call Don and let's see how we can help you.
Okay, great. Yeah, the number is 707-665-9414. That's my cell phone. You can text us there too, and if you want to book a time. And I'm just visualizing, you being in a situation where you've got like this default future that you're heading into. You expose yourself to this stuff, and suddenly you start to become one of the leaders in your field. 5 years from now, you're like the established guy that everybody else is envying. And that's what we want to make happen.
Yeah, really, really great. Well, thank you, everyone, for watching, and we look forward to speaking with you very, very soon. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.